Hello. Please welcome Guillermo del Toro. He's coming. Wait. Here he is. Here's Guillermo.
Thank you, thank you. And we brought two of the actors of the film. This is the real Geppetto and the real Pinocchio from the movie.
Did you guys like the movie?
And see, these are the puppets that we use in the film. And if you guys, any of you would like to make stop motion professionally? Anybody? All right.
You guys want to make stop motion?
Yeah, if you do, there are many apps on an iPhone that you can download, and you can be shooting your own stop motion with your toys, with Legos, or with puppets that you fabricate, because what you do with stop motion is you move the puppet a little, you take one photograph, you move it again, you take one photograph, and 24 times of moving the puppet like that gives you 1 second of movement. The movie you watched was 2 hours. We took 1,000 days shooting that movie.
Wow. So, Guillermo, the students from room 23, Mrs. Sokowski's class, would like to ask, was Pinocchio your favorite movie growing up? If so, was that your inspiration for this movie?
My two favorite movies growing up, well, actually there were three, but were Pinocchio and Frankenstein. And I think they are the same story. It's the story of a creature that is made by a father and sent into the world, and that creature has to figure out the world. The third movie that I liked as much was Creature from the Black Lagoon. So,
which inspired your Oscar-winning movie, The Shape of Water.
Correct, yes.
So, Elsa from Mrs. Olafen's 5th grade, are you guys here?
Yes.
At Washington Elementary, want to know what inspired the changes from the other Pinocchio movie?
Well, we didn't want to define ourselves against or for the first movie, which is a masterpiece that exists in its own realm, done by a genius, which is Walt Disney. So what I wanted was to tell my own story. I think that people constantly tell you that obedience is a good thing, and I don't think obedience is a good thing. I think disobedience is a good thing, because that tells people what you're thinking, not what you're told you should be thinking. And the second thing that was important, very different from the first movie, is that you don't have to change to be loved. You can be loved exactly as you are. And if they don't love you like that, they don't really love you. It's something else. And the third thing that was important was, in the original Pinocchio, Pinocchio learns to be a real boy. And to me, the real important story is Geppetto learning to be a real father. You know, it's Geppetto that is not a father on the beginning of the movie. He has only ideas of what a father and a son should be. And Pinocchio is not a perfect child, but is a beautiful child. And I think that's the most important thing about the movie and about most of the movies I make, is I love imperfection. I love that we are none of us is perfect, you know, and we adopt certain personas, like some people act like a father, but we're not fathers, we're just regular guys, or act as a director. But a director is a regular person that has an extraordinary job, but it's an ordinary person. It takes a while for me to put my socks on because I'm chunky. It takes a while. I gotta take the trash out every week. I wash my clothes, I dry them, I cook. We're normal people, and part of that is we're imperfect. And the beautiful lesson, Pinocchio is a movie full of forgiveness. It's a movie that forgives the imperfections of each other and makes the love between each other count.
Very beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, the fifth grade, come on! The fifth grade gets it! Yes! You know, and that's the thing that I learned as a father and as a son. We have kids that are perfect kids when they come to the world, and then whatever fears they get, whatever inadequacies they get, we put them in. They were not damaged when they came to the world. So I believe that we are here to learn from our kids, not the other way around. And we very seldom accept that. And then when the kids turn into teenagers and they finally tell you how they feel, because they are brave enough and old enough to tell you, you say, oh, they're going through a difficult time. No. They're telling you the truth for the first time in their lives, and we need to listen. No?
Thank you. Yeah. Jacob Mintz. Is Jacob Mintz here? Sixth grade, Ms.
Sixth grade,
class.
come on.
He would like to know, why did you choose stop animation?
Stop motion is a unique form of animation, and if you are an animator, you're already a weird person, which is great in my book. And if you are a stop motion animator, you're the weirdest of all animators, because we spend days and nights and weeks and months moving these little puppets. Imagine that you get the best toy set in the world. You have a miniature workshop or a miniature church or a miniature bedroom, and you have these guys move them, and you spend weeks and months. You know, the scene between Geppetto and Pinocchio and Geppetto and Carlo in their bedroom was animated by a single animator. You know how long it took those scenes? More than 2 years. So somebody walked into that room and didn't come out until 2 years later after animating those sequences. So I love that, and let's see if I can explain this. Number one, this is a perfect medium to make the humans and Pinocchio feel that they belong in the same universe. Even if he's different, it feels that he is real. If you make a movie with people and Pinocchio is a puppet or an animatronic or a CG creature, it feels like it's not real. So we needed that. And the third thing we needed is we wanted a movie where everybody in it thinks they're not puppets and they're all puppets. And the only puppet behaves like a human and doesn't obey like a puppet.
Eli from Ms. Berkeley's fourth grade class at Vieja Valley. What was the inspiration for the style of all the sets, and how long did it take to make them? Where are all the sets and puppets now?
Well, a lot of the puppets and the sets are in an exhibit in the Museum of Modern Art in New York that is going to stay there until April. We have been open about 2 months, and we have had over 160,000 people come through and see it. Now, after that, most of the puppets come to my house, and I keep them. Right now in my house, I have one Geppetto, one Pinocchio, and the giant Mussolini limousine, the car. But soon I'll have everything. And I think I make all my monster movies and all my weird movies to get more toys. That's part of why I do it. I am a super gigantic child that wants really cool toys, and I get to make them. But the design of the sets was based on reality. We got photographs from the period, from Italy in the 30s, and buildings that started in the Middle Ages and were destroyed through the wars and reconstructed. Everything is referenced to be historically accurate. We didn't want anything to be cool just to be cool. We wanted it to be real. See, animation can do one of two things. It can make things more real than any other form of cinema for you, or it can make them more unreal. I believe that the duty of animation is to make them real. And that's how we proceeded with this. How many of you know who Miyazaki is? Hayao Miyazaki. Well, if you can, watch his movies. He's the modern master or greatest living animator in the world, and perhaps the greatest animator in the history of the medium. And you can see My Neighbor Totoro. You can see Spirited Away. You can see a lot of them, and he's the master.
Excellent. Nora from Ms. Olson's class at Vieja Valley. Are you guys here? How did you get Pinocchio's nose to grow? Do you have dozens of puppets with slightly longer noses every time he lies?
All right, let me explain. Pinocchio is a different puppet than Geppetto. Pinocchio is what is called a replacement animation puppet. When we want Geppetto to change his face, see, I want him angry, there he is angry. There are miniature palettes under the face to control the expression. Pinocchio, on the other hand, look at this. The nose comes out, and then the face comes out. And then we have thousands of little faces with different expressions, and then we put them back, and we put the nose back, and we have hundreds of faces and dozens of noses. If it's growing, if it's broken, if it looks like a tree, you just have to pop the nose out and put the nose back. So that's how you do it. So if you change that face 24 times, you get a second of Pinocchio facial expression.
Gabriel from Miss Gill's 4th grade class at Peabody Charter School. Are you guys here?
Yes.
Excellent. Gabriel wants to know, what was the biggest challenge you faced making the movie?
You know, this is going to be very hard to explain, but I'll try to make it understandable. Most movies don't get made. Most movies don't get made. I have written around 32, 33 screenplays. I've done 12 movies. That means that 20 of my movies will never be made. Pinocchio was part of that, because here's what I did every time I pitched Pinocchio to a studio that finances movies. I told the truth. And the truth normally is harder than a lie in the short term, but better in the long term. They said no, because I said, Pinocchio, it's about death, it's about life, it's about being a parent and a son, and at the end of the day, is situated in the 30s fascist Italy with the rise of Mussolini. And they say, oh, well, is it for kids? And I would say, kids can watch it if their parents talk to them. But this is not a babysitter movie. This is not a movie that the parents are going to treat it like a glass of milk that has been pasteurized and homogenized. This movie contains life. So the studios think, they say they make movies for the kids. They really make them for the parents. Because the kids are braver, smarter, and more sophisticated than most of the movies they get. And that makes it really hard. Because what happens is, animation many times lies to us, telling us that the world is hip and cool, and we gotta be super sassy, and we gotta give one-liners. That's not a family I have ever met. Most of the families are made of people that are incomplete, and in the best case scenario, complete each other through interacting in a family. But I think that to tell an audience of kids that the world is hip and cool and funny and like a sitcom, that's a horrible lie. To tell kids that the world is a place full of darkness and light and love and hatred and reconciliation and beauty, that's the truth. And let the kids put it together. I trust the kids to put it together. I don't have to give it to them pre-digested.
Enrique Oseguera from Hapgood Elementary.
Órale, Enrique.
Enrique wants to know, how can you relate to the movie? Do you relate to Pinocchio?
I am Pinocchio, I am Geppetto, I have worked with Volpe, I have met people that are also so certain of the truth, that are scary. In this world, I think that a doubt, to not know, is a sign of intelligence. To be absolutely sure that you hold the truth is a sign of idiocy, cruelty, and blindness. I think that the world is an open place that can accommodate several levels of reality for most people to exist in. And every movie I make has me in it. I give my life to movies, and I try to make them my biography. So I am Pinocchio and I am Geppetto. I have been failed at being a parent, and now I'm happy to report my kids are my best friends. But it was not always that way, and I thought I said when I was a kid, when I have kids, I will not make my father's mistakes. And I did everything against what my father did, and I did exactly the same mistakes he did. So yes, it's very important for me.
Nico from Miss Barrett's 5th grade class at Peabody Charter School. Nico wants to know, did people ever tell you that you couldn't be a filmmaker when you were a kid?
All the time. All the time. Every time you know you're something and people tell you you cannot be that, is when you know they are afraid of your truth and afraid of who you are, or they want to make you fail at what they failed, and they think you could be better than them. And it's not a matter of better or worse, it's a matter of difference. A kid can be and should be different from the parents. And I think that the more different your kid, the better you were a parent. And that's very hard to understand for some parents. Some parents see kids as an ornament that should make them look good, not as a separate human being that is full of their own doubts and journey in this world. So yes, they told me, not only did they tell me, listen to me, I come from Mexico, I am Mexican, and all of my life they told me I couldn't make the movies I wanted to do. They said, no Mexican filmmaker has ever done fantastic movies, much less big, fantastic movies, much less popular, fantastic movies, much less weird, big, fantastic movies. And I said, I'll do it. And I did it. I keep doing it.
Now, last question.
By the way, these are the best questions I've had all season.
Rodrigo from Mr. Chavez Duo.
Yes!
The class at Hapgood. Rodrigo wants to know, ¿cómo te sientes ser una persona importante en el negocio de crear películas?
¿En español o en inglés?
En español.
En español. Yo creo que tenemos que distinguir dos cosas. La persona no es importante, el trabajo es importante. O sea, si yo creo que yo soy importante, estoy loco. Pero si creo que la película es importante, es verdad. So, just briefly in English for the Americans that didn't understand it, the person is not important, the work is important. If I thought I was important, I would be crazy. If I think the movie is important, that's the truth. So that's different.
Well, Guys, let's give a warm thank you to Guillermo for being here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. You're the best. The best.
Oh, and Guillermo, we're going to bring out the art projects.
Wow. I like it. Wow, wow. Oh my. Look at this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Now, let me tell you one thing. How many of you know that I have a house full of monsters? Well, when you get home, Google the words bleak house del Toro. And I have 3 houses full of monsters and creatures. All this art project and this sculpture will come and live with me in my house full of monsters, and 20 years from now, it will still be there. 30 years from now, it will still be there. I will put them in a really nice place in the animation room, and they will be there forever. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. ¡Viva Santa Bárbara!